And thank you all so much for just such a warm welcome. I really don't feel like I deserve it. It's so incredible to see so many women out here to want to hear about our testimonies, hear about our lives. I'm really grateful that you've just been able to give this time and traveled in from all different parts of Ireland from what I hear, despite the weather. I also just want to say thank you to Sade, your heart, Anna, your heart. I think there you are. Thank you so much for sharing so vulnerably. I remember before I was even a Christian, I came to a Women's Day event like this. I didn't really know anything about God, but I was so moved and touched by how vulnerable and how confident the women were there speaking about their lives and being able to invite them into their lives as well. So yes, thank you again so much. I'm going to be speaking about my health journey in God. And so I'm sure some of you may be able to relate to parts of it. So just a quick test around the room. Hands up. All of these apply to me, so I'm just going to keep my hand up. Hands up if you've ever Googled how to lose weight fast. Yeah. Hands up if you've ever Googled how to tone a specific part of your body. Yeah. Okay. Hands up if you've ever tried to get in shape for a specific event. Wedding, birthday, summer, yeah. And hands up if you've ever looked at a woman's body and felt sad because your body didn't look like that. And so I had to ask myself, why did I do these things? Because I deeply wanted to look good. I thought that if I looked good, then I would also feel good. And so that's where I got all of my security from. I was short, I was much larger. About, I think it's 7 years ago now, I was 20 kilos larger. And so I'm just going to run you through like a brief timeline because it has been a long period of time that I've been working on my health and I've learned a lot. So I want to share as much as I can in the time that I have with you. So kind of started from the age of 12. My family was chaotic. I grew up in a very abusive household. And so my comfort was drugs, alcohol, smoking, and food. I was incredibly debaucherous. I had no control over anything. I pushed the boundaries of whatever I could, but specifically in those areas. And so that went on for about 5 years. And then, embarrassing story time. So just to give you context, because I know sometimes it can be difficult. People look at me and they're like, were you really that big? And I don't really have photos because I was super insecure. I didn't want to stand in front of the camera. I didn't want to take any photos. But here's a story for context, and I can also just expose myself. So I was 12 years old and I had a sleepover with my friend. And I had school the next day and she had my skirt that I wore to go to school. And I said, hey, Hannah, is my skirt in your room? I was 12 years old. And she was like, is it the one that's supposed to be for someone age 16? I was like, well, I'm the only one that stayed, so I guess that's my skirt. I would have lied if there was more people. I would have been like, nope. And so that developed for about 5 years. And then when I was 17, I don't know if you've ever heard of Stoptober. No? So it's a scheme in England to help people stop smoking in the month of October. And so the challenge is to not smoke for that period of time. And so I was like, okay, I want to stop smoking. I'd started smoking when I was 12 years old. I was like, okay, let me just try Stoptober. And so I tried it and I was like, wow, I can do a month. Why don't do another month and another month? That's kind of where my health journey started. 6 months after that, I realized, okay, now I need to go after my food. And so I gave myself another 30-day challenge. And I was like, I'm not going to eat anything processed. I'm not going to have any fizzy drinks, no chocolate, crisps, sweets, takeaways, none of that. Also done the 30 days. I was like, great, we're on a roll, kept going. And I started doing that incrementally across exercise and different areas of my life. Feeling good. Lost 20 kilograms. Amazing. I'm secure. Falsely secure. But from what I know in that time, I was secure. I was feeling good. Then I went to university. And I put all the 20 kilograms back on. Ton of binge drinking. I don't know how many students we have, but you know how it can get. Lots of nights out, all of that. I put it all back on and I was so mad at myself. I gave myself so much negative talk. I would stand in front of the mirror and just hate myself. And I said, okay, I'm going to give this one more go and I'm never going back. And I was so radical about it. I wouldn't go to friends' birthday parties. I wouldn't go out for meals out. I'd be in the gym. Everyone would be out. My whole life was surrounded around me looking a particular way. I wouldn't eat something unless I knew how much it weighed, just to deep it. Like I had scales, I had food scales. I would carry food in my bag for everything and I would weigh it and I'd have to know so I could go into my protein and be like counting all my calories, making sure that I got it right. And so it got really, really bad. I lost a lot of friendships over it. The relationships really worsened. And Then there was a point where I had seen all that progress and I was really happy. And then people were asking me, like, how did you do it? And so I was sharing my tips and advice, and people seemed to really feed off of it. And now I'm like, wow, now I'm the woman. Like, I'd done this, and now I'm helping you do that. Okay, I've got something going here. Like, why don't I train to be a personal trainer? And so I invested a ton of money into being a personal trainer. And I didn't do the course because what I realized was I didn't enjoy helping people, but I just enjoyed the attention that I got from helping people. I was like, wow, I done that. And so even when I hear Amelia list all of those things, like I just cringe inside because so much of my security came from how I looked or what I'd done. And I just knew that I was placing my security in something which in its very nature is insecure. Our health is insecure. Tomorrow, my health is not going to look exactly the same. It's not guaranteed. My job could change in 24 hours. And that's where God comes in. And so when I became a Christian, a lot of these convictions became purified, which I'm super grateful for because God helped me see that me being healthy wasn't actually about me. And so there was definitely a temptation to sort of be like, oh, okay, so I should focus on God. Let me not focus on my health. Let me just go back to eating, just eat and watching telly. I was like, no, that's definitely not it. Because then I found a scripture in the Bible, and this really helped me. It's in Romans chapter 12, verse 1, and I'll just quickly read it for you. It says, "And so, dear brothers and sisters, I plead with you to give your bodies to God because of all that he has done for you. Let them be a living and holy sacrifice, the kind he will find acceptable. This is truly the way to worship." I saw that this meant that by taking care of my body, I was grateful for God's grace. It was an act of worship for me, but what I had to be mindful of was that there was a very thin line between me worshiping God and worshiping my health. And so what am I trying to say? The focus of my health now isn't about me. It's about being grateful, first of all, that God is giving me an able body and that I need to use it for his good, but being very sober about the fact that he could take it away at any point. It's about thinking about how I'm going to impact the people around me. It's not about how I'm going to look in my wedding dress in 4 months' time, though I can still slip into that mindset. And I'm like, wow, maybe I just need to lose a little bit more weight. What's hanging out here, there? But I need to consistently ground myself because once you transform the way you think, it can be very easy to slip into an old way of thinking. And so that's something that I just need to be mindful about. It's also about thinking about my fertility. When I became a lot slimmer, suddenly I started thinking less about the kind of foods that I was eating and more so about the kind of training that I was doing. And so provided my calories remained low, I knew I would stay in the same size. But I was like, oh, wait, but my insides matter too. It's not just about my appearance. It's about being the bridesmaid who's in charge of 2 weddings for everybody's health in the bridal party. And finally, it's about getting my worth and security from God. It's about who he says I am and not what I think I look like or what I can do. Thank you so much for listening.